I'm back. Did you think I'd forgotten you? Never. I apologise. I'm always apologising. Just the last July we're in, had to think then. The last few months, as you know, I've had a lot going on, sort of health-wise. Some of it's actually really good in that I'm on a good path and I've got my act together and I've dealt with it and it's good news. But then there's still just another part of my health that they've not quite pinned down, which ironically is what I presented with originally, and they still don't know what it is. But then they found something else which we've had and I'm dealing with it and it's good news and it's going on the right path and I'll stay on that path, but we still don't know what's going on with what I presented with. And I think it's going to be hormones. They're going to say to me in the end it's hormones. Fine, if it is, it is. This is another YouTube I need to do, perimenopausal and the weird stuff that goes on, because there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on, more weird stuff than even I expected. But I'm here to talk about books, because I know you're all thinking, has she actually been reading? Yes, but not much, because I can't relax enough to read. Sounds silly, because reading relaxes me, but I can't switch my brain off sometimes. And if I can't switch my brain off, I can't enjoy a book. And if I can't enjoy a book, then I'm not doing it justice. Does that make sense? But I have got some for you. The first one, I got the first series of this from a charity shop and I was just like, oh, I like this. Now, it's written by Robert Thorogood, who writes the Death in Paradise series. It's not a series I particularly enjoyed, so I didn't follow it. But this is the Marlowe Murder Club Mysteries. This is the third one, and it's just a brilliant read. The way he writes is just, it's that perfect plotting with a start, a middle and a finish, and everything comes together and it all makes sense. And he drops a few red herrings that makes you think that you figured it out when you haven't, and it's clever and it just keeps you there. And I really enjoyed it. The second one I was a bit, but this is sort of back on the path of what I enjoy. I love the characters. I think it's been made for television, which I haven't yet watched, because I sort of had my own idea in my head of the characters, and I'll just complain. Gail will know. I'll moan about it. Simple as that. It won't be good enough. You know, it'd be, oh, why did they get that actress? So I'm not going to do that to you. But I really, really enjoyed this one. So there's a murder. Somebody's murdered. It's a council meeting and somebody's murdered. And how was he murdered and who did it? What more do you need to know? But I do like Robert Thorogood's writing, and I like the plotting of these, and I like the characters, and I like that it's, you know, woman led, and I just like that they all have their strengths, but they also, there's no fear of showing weakness, which I think is really good as well. So The Queen of Poisons, I loved it. Okay, I've got 3 for you now. You know, I've been reading this series by Ellie Griffiths, the Ruth Galloway Mysteries, and I've read nearly the whole series. I've got one left and I've saved it, which is why I still don't know, but I'm hooked. I love the plotting, but I also love the characters, and I really love the character of Ruth. I do identify a lot with her. But I do like the sort of underlying love story as well, which is very, very erratic, and it's broken because she clearly is in love with Nelson, who's the father of her daughter. Nelson is clearly in love with Ruth, but he's married and in love with his wife, Michelle, and they've got 2 daughters. And it's all fractured all the way along, but I love the characters in it. I love Cathblad. I love all of them, and I'm so attached to the story. So I've read The Lantern Men, I've read The Nighthawks, and I've read The Locked Room, which won a lot of awards. Some are often better than others when it comes to the stories and the plotting. This one, I don't know, I enjoyed it, but not as much as I enjoyed The Nighthawks. I really liked that story. And The Locked Room, which won quite a few awards, I enjoyed that one very much as well. I've got one to go. Oh, and I just haven't had the heart to do it, because when I've done it then. and then I lose that there's still one to go feeling. So the Ellie Griffiths, I can't recommend these enough. If you are a cozy crime lover, honestly, just go for it. She has written the Brighton Mysteries as well, which I know a lot of people love. I've read a couple of those. I just can't click with it. Beautifully written because it's Ellie Griffiths, but I just don't quite connect. And I love the 50s. It's set in the 50s. I don't know why. I just don't connect with it. But at some point, the last one of these will feature. I just don't know when. Now, this was a gift from my friend, and she just said, I thought I'd buy you it. And she even put me a little sticky tab in so I could highlight the pages. India Knight's Beauty Edit. What works when you're older? Now, I love India Knight's writing. I've read her stories for years, and I love her beauty advice. I love her beauty take on things, because she is very sort of down to earth. And this is a really good book. A lot of the products, I'm familiar with them, but her mindset and how she looks at things is very much how I do as well. And it's just a really, really good book. There's so many out there, and there's a lot that are just being pushed by people who are bringing out their own range, or they have a range out and they just want to plug their products, and you know, they've been paid by companies, so you'll find that they are featuring a lot of their products. India Knight doesn't have her own range, and she just writes a column about beauty, and she loves beauty, but it's sort of no nonsense, and I just find her language accessible as well. So I really, it was a lovely gift, and I read it very quickly. And I also, which I don't do in books unless they're books like this, I highlight things and get pens and colour things in, and things that I want to make a note of. A really good book. Also, can I just say that the paper smells amazing. If you're that kind of person, you'll get it. Now, this is a reread purely because I just don't think there's enough times you can reread Nora Ephron. Equally, I don't think there's enough times you can watch You've Got Mail and Sleepers in Seattle and When Harry Met Sally. But particularly You've Got Mail, if you've never watched it, Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan, it's a remake of The Shop Around the Corner, which I think was Maureen O'Sullivan, and was it Jimmy Stewart or Henry Fonda? I can't remember. Anyway, or did Maureen O'Sullivan, was she in a relationship with Henry Fonda? Something like that. But it's a remake, and it's just exquisite, and it's so Nora Ephron. So Nora Ephron, I feel bad about my neck, which I love because it's funny, and it's about lots of things, but it's about aging particularly, and your neck, and the fact that women of a certain age would wear polo necks. As we say in the UK, polo necks. I think they say roll neck, don't they, in the States. And my mum used to say you could always tell a lady of a certain age because she'd wear a scarf around her neck or a jumper. I don't know what it is. Why are we making people feel guilty about their necks and getting older? I mean, mine's completely falling apart. It is what it is. But Nora Ephron is funny, and how she sees things is funny, but it's real. And you're going, yeah, all the way through, yeah. And I'm finally old enough to get it. When you're younger, you kind of go, oh, that's really funny, ha, ha, ha. I'll never be like that. And then you get to that age and you go, it's really funny. Oh, my goodness, it did happen to me. It's great. I have a lot of Nora Ephron. This is just one of her best, and particularly funny because my neck's been falling apart, particularly the last few months. But really, a really brilliant book. Just keep reading it. Nora Ephron, if you don't know, wrote the screenplay for Sleepers in Seattle and When Harry Met Sally, I think with her sister Delia, and then she helped Rob Reiner do Harry Met Sally. She also wrote the book Heartburn, which was a film with Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep, and it was based loosely on her own life experience. So Nora Ephron, I think her second marriage was, she was married to the journalist who outed Nixon in the Watergate scandal. She was married to one of those journalists, and he went on to have an affair with Baroness J, who was married to somebody from the consulate in the UK that was in America. They had an affair. Nora Ephron was pregnant with her second child, and she wrote Heartburn loosely based on that experience of her husband's affair and everything. But an incredible woman. I can't recommend Nora Ephron's work enough. Brilliant book, and you do still laugh no matter how many times you read it. Right, enough Nora Ephron love. Now this is a first time one. I get the feeling there's a series coming. This is Jill Johnson, Devil's Breath, and it's about a professor who has clearly had her job taken away from her and a belief that she did something really bad in the action of her job. And she basically is, you know, very much a loner. She lives in a flat. She has a roof garden that is just completely covered in poisonous plants because that's her speciality. And she has a telescope, and it's a bit Hitchcock. She's watching her neighbours, and she suddenly becomes quite infatuated with the neighbour across the road and realises that there are a lot of men coming and going to this neighbour, and she names them all after the poisonous plants. But then bad things start to happen and she gets involved. And she's a very, very complex character. You kind of... Initially, it's fascination with her because she's a very unusual character. She wears her father's clothes. Her father's died. And obviously, she had a very close connection with her father. So she wears her father's clothes. She's very much a loner. She doesn't really go out that much. So you get fascinated with her. But then she almost becomes quite irritating. But then she steps out of her comfort zone and almost becomes an investigator of certain things that are happening. And this character, you can see the author is building up that this is going to be a series, and we're going to have this sort of unofficial detective in this. But it's a clever character, but I'm still in that undecided whether I really like her or not, and how I feel. I wanted more of the poison plants and more of the story, although the story is around the poison plants. But I don't know, I think I wanted it to be a little bit more old-fashioned and quirky than it actually is. But I did enjoy it. And I really enjoyed it as it was gathering pace at the end. I suddenly was really invested in the end. And it kind of quickened up without being too quick a finish of a story. So Devil's Breath, Jill Johnson, debut novel. I think we're going to see more of this, but Eustacia Rose is the lady in question. I think there's more to come, and that's my pile. It's not a lot, as I say. I haven't read 20 books yet this year. Last year I was storming away, but the brain is just, yeah. And I think I need to do another video about perimenopause because, oh my goodness me, you know, just bonkers how things change just in one day. But I hope you're all well. I look forward to your comments. Again, I do apologise. I have been unfaithful. I'll be honest. I have been TikToking like there's no tomorrow. It's so easy to TikTok though. You can just film and it's up. However, I will never ever let my very, very loyal followers down. So I intend to do much better. I'll try, I promise. But I hope you're all well, and I will see you soon. I promise. Take care.